John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready, down, set, hut, 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 hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome back. It is the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast from Soonerscoop.com. And, well, now we're the road crew because we'll be heading to UCLA, LA, actually, on Thursdays. The Sooners 2-0. They beat South Dakota tonight 70-14. I think I had picked 56-6 as the final. So 70 points, even surprising for me. I don't know, what was the highest anybody predicted? Eddie and Bob joining us. You had 66?
66. 66-14.
You had 66-6?
Yeah.
Did you just do that to be an ass?
Yeah. It's worked out that way.
Well,
Somewhat.
you were closer than I was, so I can't give you any grief. Anyway.
I basically predicted the entire game because not only did I put they'd have
did you
3
predict
turnovers.
That Theo Wease would burst through an entire
3 turnovers.
defense and score a 37-yard touchdown?
I'll just read to you what let me pull it up real quick. I had 3 turnovers. I had one of the 3 freshman wide receivers scoring a touchdown.
They all did.
They all 3 did.
Yeah.
So, and then I also had one other interesting prediction that I can't remember now. I'll have to look it up and see.
It wasn't a Bookie pick 6.
It wasn't a Bookie pick 6. I can guarantee you that. But I thought he played well. Obviously, he had the turnover, he had the pick 6. But is there not some kind of irony in that it was against an FCS opponent? Is there any at all? I turned to Dylan Bucky and I was like, of course he would have a good game tonight because people would just bitch and moan like, oh, why can't he do that against somebody good?
See, I don't look at it that way because this is a defense that hasn't made a damn play against anybody in forever.
Sure.
I don't care if it was a high school team. Like,
no,
to see someone catch an interception and return it for a touchdown, that's almost a miracle after the last couple of years.
He was close last year against TCU down in Fort Worth, and then remember he didn't pick it off, and he drops it, and the game changes completely, and they go into the shootout mode after that. But, I mean, it is what it is. It was exactly, I think, what a lot of people thought it would be, isn't it? I mean, just as far as the points scored, the defense played.
I don't know if
can I say well? Is well even? I mean, they were good, I guess. Good enough.
But yeah, I mean, the 14 points came against backups, essentially.
I mean, this was a game you didn't want any surprises. You wanted it to go exactly the way you thought it would, because that would mean everyone played, the starters played a half. That means Spencer Rattler, Tanner Mordecai came in. That means no one got injured.
I thought Tanner Mordecai looked really good. Like, he when he threw the ball, it's like he threw it with purpose.
Yeah.
Like, he put himself behind those passes.
I thought both quarterbacks looked a little bit better than Jalen Hurts tonight. I mean, is that okay to say? He seemed very tentative as far as like, I don't want to throw an interception. Like they're gonna have to beat the Nick Saban out of this.
And he
guy.
just kind of chunked it up there a couple times.
Yeah, there was
I was listening to the radio on the way home, getting ready to do my own radio, just to see what was going on. There were several callers that were of the
we got a quarterback controversy now?
Spencer Rattler gonna become the starter variety.
Okay, let's pump the brakes. He was doing it against now he was doing it against a team that was tired as hell, it seemed like, in the fourth quarter, but I will say that ball comes out of his hand differently than anybody else on the team.
He was 4 of 4 for 50 yards and a touchdown.
Did you like Lincoln call him a puppy in the postgame presser?
Yeah.
Bestiality?
I don't know.
The ball does come out of his hand. It's like, oh God, that's what you want right there.
I think it kind of sucks because we have to go down. If we don't go down at a certain point in time, which is like 7 minutes left, and we can't get on the elevators. And at OU, there's no stairs that go all the way to the ground. Like some places, like Baylor, you can go all the way down on the stairs, but you can't do that at OU, so you have to get in the elevator. And that's really when, Spencer was kind of taken over, and so I didn't really get to see
It was beautiful.
everything, but I got to see pretty much all of Tanner Mordecai, and I was impressed with him.
No, yeah,
Except for
I
his
thought he
first
played
pass.
well. Yeah, and I think that was one of those things that he just kind of he threw it into the ground. I don't think there's any other way to say it. He threw it into the ground.
Yeah, it was definitely nerves.
Or he doesn't want Drake to catch the ball. One of the two.
You were very impressed with Drake's hair flip.
Oh my God! I'm gonna put a gif. I'm gonna put a gif
man.
up of it. It was erotic.
Saw the TV, the video board, read the replay of that. Yeah, it was something.
It was Bryce Harper-esque.
I compared it to Josh Reddick on Twitter, but I don't. Harper just has so much hair.
Yeah,
it's hard to replicate or duplicate that.
I saw Bob in the tunnel coming out and said hello. His new book will be coming out this week.
Oh, that's right. It comes out
the 10th,
Monday,
September 10th. Yeah,
Monday.
10th.
Wow.
Tuesday.
Oh yeah, today.
Today's the 7th.
We've
That's
already
the 8th now officially.
It's the 8th.
I looked down and saw the 8th. That's my bad.
So anyway, back to the game tonight. This is what I said before it happened, and I almost feel like we need to do stock up or stock down. We will after this, but one of the things that I talked about in my prediction was that I wanted to see more Kennedy Brooks tonight because I just felt like he wasn't in football shape yet. I did not say I want to see a lot of Ramondre Stevenson too because he was a badass tonight. But both of those guys, I mean, like nobody's bitching about Trey Sermon. No, I don't want to replace Trey Sermon. But at the same time, man, it's good to see Kennedy Brooks out there running like his old self.
Yeah, I thought he ran the ball really well tonight. There was a couple times that I thought he was going to break one off there early in the, I want to say it was the second quarter. I don't know, though. Like
Kennedy Brooks runs like you're holding a controller and like you're picking the perfect, hole to run through every time.
What was the word that Riley used last year? Glides, and he really does just kind of glide. It doesn't look like he's
Sunday walking your dog.
Yeah, yeah. Ramondre Stevenson is he's a beast.
You know what?
He's a hell of a person.
You know who he is? He is a more physical Damian Williams.
Damn it! I was gonna say that. That's exactly.
What he reminds me of.
He's about probably 5 inches taller. Not 5 inches. Yeah, I mean he's
rounder.
He's just a bowling ball.
Yeah,
but he's not a bowling ball because he
outran everybody for 75 yards.
Well, I mean,
it was.
Well,
it's hard to. It was
the backup for FCS.
It looked good though. It looked good doing it.
All three of them found the end zone after Jalen Hurts tried to steal all their touchdowns last week.
Yeah, and that's why. I mean, you're right. I mean, that's why I thought it was important for the running backs to get involved because Jalen Hurts sucked up all the running yards. Like Trey Sermon was going to have a great day on the ground last week, and then here comes Jalen Hurts sucking up all the running yards. So, and for this young offensive line, I was talking to J.D. Reynolds earlier about this. Like, you want to be able to say, okay, we're going to call a running play. It's 3rd and 2. We need to pick this up. Like, we need to open a hole and let a guy run through it. Like, we need to practice that. We need to get good at that because the offensive line over the last few years was really good at that. And you can't say that this offensive line is good at that yet. And we saw some of that tonight.
And we saw a lot of holding calls.
Oh, God.
As that left tackle position.
I just kept looking at Bill Beatonville on the sidelines like this guy's about to combust. He kept his calm pretty much throughout, but I can't imagine that's going to be a fun rewatch because I don't know. I mean, is Marquise Hayes that big of a deal that he
shouldn't have been, not against this team.
No, shouldn't. No, not at all.
I mean, they put R.J. Proctor in there in his place. By the way, Bob, you did document this. Correct starting lineup tonight on the big board.
Did they? Well, they probably listened to the pod.
That's what I said.
I guarantee you they listened to the pod.
I wanted to see if Hayes was listed as a starter.
So Joe Castiglione, if you were a part of that, Greg Tipton, Kenny Mossman, whoever, thank you for finally giving us an up-to-date.
I'm sure those parents were just ecstatic.
I mean, Eric Swenson, that's the first time he was on the video. Well, no, Proctor.
No, it was Proctor was the first
Proctor
time.
First
Swenson's
time.
who they lied about last week.
Yes.
But they didn't lie to us this week. Well, did they have Jalen Redmond? They had Jalen Redmond in the starting lineup,
They had
right?
Stokes and it was Redmond who actually started.
Poor Jalen Redmond's family. Got to be devastated.
I bet he's
tonight.
already in the portal.
Okay, I tell you what. Let's go to our good friends at Ed. Let's go to Eskridge Lexus. Ed Eskridge works at Lexus because it's time for this.
Eskridge Lexus is all about embracing the best. That's why they are the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com podcasts. So it's time for us to recognize the Sooners' best with our Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game.
I have some bad news for you guys. Ed Eskridge is not going to allow us to drive a Lexus out to L.A.
You know, as much as I would love to drive a Lexus out to L.A. because that back seat would be so comfortable, I think the plane will do.
What would that be, like 18 hours or something?
Probably, yeah. I would think so. I mean, I've never made that drive.
I've never made that
We'd want to kill each other.
Shit, we've drove to Phoenix.
Driven?
How much? How long was that?
Well, Phoenix is 14 hours.
It's not that.
But the problem is,
Carey, we'll never do the drive that we did from Phoenix to San Antonio.
Neither of us are that young anymore. Yeah.
That's the most.
Again, I don't know why
excruciating
you were
drive.
bitching. I drove the entire way while you slept from Phoenix in the middle of the night to San
We could have been
Antonio.
kidnapped by the cartel. We could have been.
That was the fun part, is Eddie sitting there, because like you'd be driving and we went through the check station, which we loved. You love going through the check station, but you knew you were driving right on the border, and every once in a while, like four-wheelers would pop out of the woods, and I'd be like, Eddie, that's the cartel. And he was freaked out.
It could have been. It could have been my time.
They could have hijacked our car.
I mean, we would have.
But
I would have been like, all right. If you're gonna kill me, at least let me do a little bit of this Colombian cocaine real quick.
It was actually the DEA. It wasn't the cartel.
No, yeah. I will say though, and I'll say it until I die, that car that was in front of us, somebody's in prison. Somebody's
the one
in
that was
prison
like riding
in
down
the hoopty or whatever. Yeah.
It was a Acura RL, I believe, and the trunk was on the ground.
Not good for them.
Yeah, it was. They
stock
were
stock down for
that
them.
whole car was strip searched that night. There's no doubt about it. Stock was down.
I can't even remember who ended up committing at the Army game that year. I mean, we drove from.
That wasn't the Joe Mixon year.
No, because Mixon was from New Orleans. We drove over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right.
I guarantee it was somebody that ended up being nobody.
Well, that would have been 2010 then, right? That would have been after UConn.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I bet that was Trey Matwire.
That's why he asked me for a pencil.
Okay, so play of the game. I think there's several candidates.
Oh, play of the game. Number one for me is the Bookie interception.
Not the Jaden Hazelwood.
No, just because it's kind of like I was listening to you and
Or the
JD on the way over
FOEs.
here. It's kind of like one of those things that he needed that. I think this defense needed that.
Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point.
And I will say, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but there's no way that those freshmen aren't contributors by the end of actual honest to God contributors.
I think I tweeted this on the Scoop account. Maybe it was my own personal account. It probably was because it was kind of opinion. But that's why I asked Jalen Hurts after the game about it. I could really see, if this offense wants to get as down and dirty and difficult as it can be, get Jaden Hazelwood ready to be your number 2 receiver. Because you put him and CeeDee Lamb operating at a very high level together on the same football field.
That would have to
be
God. The 2 biggest wide receivers OU's had on the field at the same time with actual talent. And,
we're not talking Dahu Green.
Yeah, I'm talking guys
Todd.
that could be
Dallas Todd.
Guys that will play in the NFL at some point.
Yeah. A.D. Miller dropped a pass tonight. He should have caught.
He also had a 25-yarder.
He was interfered. He was interfered.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
It was.
That was really bad, actually.
Okay, I'll stop shitting on A.D. Miller.
But if Bookie's taken, I'll go with CeeDee Lamb's catch over the shoulder as he's falling on his knees. That was something.
Yeah.
Was that first quarter?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was something.
Let's face it, it was just huge for CeeDee Lamb to have a night like he had tonight.
Exactly.
Like, he needed a night where he was just like, I'm CeeDee Lamb.
His little thing about
Who wants to sex the CD?
his little thing
Like
after
Mutombo.
he catches the ball and then just kind of stands there. That's like the most demeaning thing I've ever seen somebody do.
He's good at that too.
He just and I think it's because of the penalty that he got in Manhattan last year.
Lubbock was a
Lubbock.
bad
Lubbock.
night
That's
for
right.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, that when he got the double.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's right.
He got a penalty for pushing the guy off of him, and then he got a penalty for arguing with the ref about it.
Yep.
30 yards.
He went 6 for 144 and the touchdown tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I just, and it was good to see. I thought it was. Am I wrong, or did you feel like it was a concerted effort to have Jalen Hurts throw the long ball tonight?
I thought they tried to let him air it out a couple times, and a couple times it just looked like I don't know. It almost seemed like he just did not want to make any mistakes. And I think that's probably something that was pounded into his brain in Tuscaloosa. And, I was talking to a couple guys down there on the sidelines just as far as sometimes you just got to let it fly.
Yeah.
And that's what Kyler and Baker were so good about. Sometimes they would just stand back
conscience.
there and just zing it. And they had the arm strength, obviously, to make every throw. And I don't know, maybe Jalen just can't make those throws. But he's going to have to at some point, and he's going to be asked to, especially if you're, backed up in the Cotton Bowl at a 3rd and 8 and you need to make a play or wherever. If you're going to be the team that they think they can be, you're going to have to make some of those plays, and you're going to have to air it out at some point.
And since Josh isn't here, that was the point he was making in the unofficial 40, that you can see there's still some parts of Hurts' game where you wonder, will that hurt the Sooners down the road? And the Miller throw is a great example. If that's thrown on the money, that's a touchdown. That shouldn't.
But
even
it was
been
if he
been a
throws that to
problem.
CeeDee Lamb, there's a pretty good chance he comes down with that.
Yeah,
That was
guy,
good enough
tackled
throw.
him,
It was a
though.
good enough
Yeah,
throw. What I'm
basically,
saying.
it was like going right through him.
Okay.
If it was CeeDee Lamb, they probably call it defensive pass or offense. Yeah, defensive pass interference.
Offensive pass interference because he would have been the catcher, the guy catching. Okay, so I want to remind you guys, Ed Eskridge over at Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City, eskridgelexus.com. Look them up. If you guys are looking for a luxury car, you can't go wrong with a Lexus. I mean, I've had one forever. Love it. We'll be getting Lexuses forever because they're just such great cars. Eddie and I have been on many adventures in it. He's even puked in it.
That's a fact.
So
That might have been the same trip.
not maybe. So go to Lexus, go to Eskridge Lexus. Let him know that you're a listener or a member of Sooner Scoop, and let him know, and he will take care of you. You'll get a special wink, wink, Scoop discount that other people don't get, and they will take care of you. So go see Ed at Eskridge Lexus, and I'm telling you, fantastic cars. We're going to be driving them to high school games and road games this year, so we'll be telling you all season about the new models. The 2020s are starting to come in, and we took a lot of different Lexuses last year. Loved all of them. They were all great cars. So thanks to Eskridge Lexus for being a sponsor of this fine podcast. Okay, stock up and stock down. I think it's just important we just go ahead and kind of go. Let's start on the defensive side because we've talked about Bookie. We know stock is up there. There's no need to even bring his name up. But as we said, Jalen Redmond got the start tonight. Kenneth Murray was out there doing his thing. Neville Gallimore forces a fumble. But let's start with Bob because he seems to be chomping at the bit.
I'll go.
Give me two guys stock up on defense.
Two? Okay, that might make it tough for the rest of you guys. I'll go Deshaun White for one, where last week Ryan Jones was in that second series of the game. White kind of solidified himself a little bit.
So stock up is what you're saying for him?
Yeah, for White. He had the big hit, and on the very next play, he had his first career sack, and he felt more comfortable. Looks like he could be a guy.
Okay, so let's do it this way. One stock up, one stock down, and we'll go around.
Stock down, I think this is the glaring one right now is at the safety position, and it was Delarian Turner-Yell's night where
it was off, yeah.
Where Fields had the off night against Houston, Turner-Yell missed a lot of tackles, and even when he did hit, those guys didn't go down. They just bounced off him.
He creamed one guy and just didn't wrap him up, and he just continued running around the edge. And he had like 2 bad plays in a row there. Like last week, he threw a guy down, got a penalty. This week, I don't know if that affected him or what, but he had a very off night, I thought. I think you're right.
And he was that close to pick 6, but wasn't able to finish.
Young Edward.
Okay, I'll go stock up, and it's going to kind of be a strange one because it might be a little unfair that he played so well because it was so late in the game.
You're going to steal my guy, I think.
I thought Jaden Davis looked really good.
Okay, no, you didn't steal my guy.
I thought Jaden Davis looked really good.
He did.
And it might just be the situation, but when you have an opportunity to pick the ball off and you come down with it, I noticed that kind of stuff.
We were walking from the elevator down to the field. What happened on the pick 6? I know it's called back, but what did he do to make that pick 6 happen? Was it something?
I think he just stepped in front of it, if I remember correctly. I was kind of blocked out, so I'm gonna have to go back and actually see what happened. But he made a pretty good break on the ball, I want to say, and just happened to. The next thing I know, he's starting to run with the ball, and he might have actually. The ball actually might have hit the ground. I couldn't tell, but the pick that he actually made, that was a nice play.
That was a really
that's a play that we haven't seen corners make consistently around here
and
in a while.
And he fought for the football.
Correct.
Which you haven't seen. I think Trey Brown's the only guy that I would say fights for the football like that. All right, stock down.
It's a little unfair, too, probably just because he's, I guess, still getting his feet underneath him a little bit, but I think that they're going to need a little bit more from Dylan Fa'amatu.
Yeah.
And that's probably just me trying
coming back from injury.
Yeah, and that's probably me just being a little bit
of an asshole.
And just trying to find somebody that's different than everybody else. But I think as a whole, we can all agree that the safety position needs some work. So maybe if I can go 1A and then 1B, just the safety position as a whole. But we really shouldn't be surprised. Like Alex Grinch has consistently since the start of spring,
he said he needs more guys back
spring
there.
ball,
Yeah.
they do not have very many safeties down there.
And so now I think what we might be learning, I know Fields and Turner Yell are that much better than everybody else, is the fact is the depth just isn't there, and 2 guys had to be the starters to begin the season.
I feel like you guys have left me with the best stock down, the most obvious stock down. And I'm going to start with that.
I really don't know who you. I don't know who it would be.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Really?
I really don't.
Mark Jackson?
Was he in long enough?
Well, that's why his stock is down. He didn't come in until the end of the game. Like he was a starter.
He wasn't even on the 2 deep though.
I know.
Like I guess it's just confirmation of what we thought.
Yeah, he's not hurt. I mean, they just don't like him. It's like he came in when the scrubs came in at the end of the game. Not like he came in when the 2s came in or when they started scoring their touches. He came in when the game was decided. He came in after, like, he was 1 play before kneel down. That's when he came in the game.
It might just be a situation that they like other. I mean, it's very obvious they like the longer guys that can go.
They like John Michael Terry's athleticism a lot more than they like his. Because he's not. I've never really thought of Mark Jackson as a quick twitch guy.
You know who's a guy that probably needs to get mentioned in this for a little bit of stock up is David Awegbu.
Ah, you took my guy.
You hadn't let me have mine yet, you motherfucker.
Oh, that's my fault.
God damn it.
My bad.
See, I used the F-bomb and the GD. I'm so mad.
My bad. I completely thought we were
here's
done.
what I was going to do. I was going to give it to just because Josh came out and celebrated Parnell Motley tonight on Twitter. I was going to say Josh's stock up was Parnell Motley, and I was going to be smart and say David Agwebu because he looked so good coming in there late. I mean, he tattooed a guy out of bounds.
Sure did.
I mean, every time I looked down, he was bringing the wood.
You walked me into that, though, because we were talking about longer players.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what they want, though. It's very obvious that's what they want, is it not?
But it's like we saw him and Joseph Wette the days that we got to go out there and watch, and we're like, how the hell are these guys ever going to play?
I put it on the board, I think. I was like, Wette, and did he play tonight? I don't think he did
Participation report says yes. With my eyes, I don't
never
remember.
I never
seeing
saw him.
He would have come in when we were coming down on the elevators. The problem.
But we were there for that final drive down on the end
when
zone.
Mark Jackson came in.
I don't remember seeing him at all.
So yeah, I mean, I think defensively, is there anybody that should be recognized? I mean,
I think Motley has played well. Those 3 pass breakups, he just seems.
Well, I thought we adequately recognized. You know what's weird is, and maybe this goes along with the Creed Humphrey thing, which we haven't talked about. They had was it Ian McIver?
Yeah.
I always want to say MacGyver. I think it's McIvan or something. He's the walk-on backup center, and he came in for Creed Humphrey, and he was playing with the starters in the second quarter. He was playing with the starters, so Bob and I were up in the like, that's weird. Like, and people were. I think Eric Bailey from the Tulsa World came over, and he was like, "What's going on out there? Did you guys see Creed Humphrey limp off or anything?" So we were wondering if he was injured, and I even went out of my way to ask Lincoln Riley about it after the game.
Lincoln, I know a lot of people asking you just address Creed Humphrey and he wasn't out there. McIver was out there with the starters. Was he okay?
Oh, yeah, he's fine. No, we wanted to get Ian some reps. He's done a great job. Creed's fine. Need to continue to develop some centers, and I thought Ian went in and did a heck of a job.
And see, so I'm wondering, is it the same situation with Jordan Parker and Trey Brown? Like, it just seems like they take him out and then he's gone for a while.
Almost like they're so scared of losing them. If they get hurt, they might be a bigger piece of the puzzle than we all realize.
Yeah.
Oh, it definitely seemed like that was definitely like it was a. What am I trying to say? It's like they're planning for the worst as far as, if Creed gets hurt, somebody's gonna have to play center. Obviously,
they are kind of screwed if he gets hurt.
I will say I've seen Tyrese Robinson work a little bit at
and he did
center
during the spring when he was out.
Like during pregame, he'll go do the snapping to the quarterbacks and stuff. But I thought McIver. I'd have to go back and look to see exactly how he played. I think he kept leaving the ball up high for Spencer.
Yes.
Like all the snaps,
did.
he was jumping almost.
But when they were scoring down in the red zone, he was at center. I mean, when they were trying to cram it in, he was playing center then.
Which, I mean, I think that if you put on an Oklahoma uniform, you should be able to block the nose guard that South Dakota ran out there tonight.
Yeah.
He looks like a guy that would be checking IDs at Logan's and letting a lot of underage in.
You remember when Landry Jones was the quarterback and they were having problems in the red zone against Idaho State that one year?
Yeah.
And then the Bell Dozer was born.
I mean, they literally could not get in the end zone because they couldn't blow people off the ball. I would also say that I don't think that, and I say this with a qualifier because we're going to have to talk about the left tackle situation, but I don't think Beatembo would put anybody just out there. Throw anybody out there that doesn't at least have his quote-unquote blessing.
Okay, so let's go to offense. Stock up, stock down. You want to go stock down on Eric Swinson? Is that what you're saying?
I think as a collective whole, we can just say the left tackle position needs to be evaluated right now.
Not single anybody out.
I mean, they went with Stacey Wilkins when they were going to mop-up duty.
Were
time.
they? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't notice that.
I don't know if you can't put Stacey in there when it matters just yet, but that kind of makes you wonder where Michael Thompson is.
Well, it also makes you believe, I think, that Finley Felix is not really an option at left tackle either.
He played right tackle.
Yeah, because he came in for Ely late in the game.
Yep.
So it sounds like his only option is to be a right tackle. Which that's not uncommon. That's kind of like, you remember Bobby Evans was a right tackle. He had to try and move to left tackle. They kept him at right tackle because they thought that was best, and they put Cody Ford at left tackle. I think I remember that right. Am I not?
You're flipping it.
Cody Ford played right tackle. They moved Bobby Evans to left.
Yes.
Okay.
But it took Bobby a lot longer.
Yeah, I just remember there being all kinds of issues and stuff. Okay, so your stock down, left tackle. Eddie, give me your stock up on offense.
Oh man, there are a lot.
You can't say freshman receivers.
Okay.
Oh,
you can't do group. I mean, you have to pick one.
You're allowed to pick one. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna just go ahead and run it. I'll take Jaden Hazelwood.
Yeah,
I think he could be a guy that
you get to go first.
I will be shocked. I will be shocked if he's not a guy come a month from now that isn't a consistent. Like, you have to start game planning. He's too good to stay off the field.
What's funny is Rambo's not bad. He is not played poorly.
Like, they have good options.
It's
like,
just so many options.
Who's going to be the odd man out? And who's going to be that guy? And I have a name that we need to – actually, two names that need to be brought up after we're done here, after we're done with this segment.
Okay. Bob, I'll let you go stock up on offense first.
I'll go Tanner Mordecai.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought
I was really impressed with him tonight.
when you watch that first throw and it's into the ground, you're like, put Rattler in now.
Oh, I didn't say that. I was just like, stop throwing in the ground.
But, the way he performed after that, and the fact that Lincoln let him run the offense instead of just like, let's go in the mop-up duty mode and just run it the entire time and try to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You actually let Tanner run the offense, and you saw what he could do. You know what I mean? 114 yards, his first 2 career touchdowns. He looked comfortable. It looked like he understood exactly what he was being asked to do.
You know how you pour out a drink for somebody that has departed?
Yeah.
Possibly he just threw it into the ground for Parrish Cobb. Just kind of, that was like his
Or went out for his
Waco brethren.
Waco. Cobb didn't go to Waco Midway, though, did he?
No, he went to La Vega.
Yeah.
Houghton and Mordecai went to the same school.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Okay, stock down on offense, Bob.
Stock down. That is really hard. I'm going to say Proctor, because Proctor had a holding call from the left guard position. He's the grad transfer. He's got all the experience. You can't have those type of issues in games like this. You got to play clean.
Well, and it's one of those things, too, that it's not that big of a deal tonight. You get away with it. I mean, they converted a 3rd and 22 tonight, for Christ's sake. But you do that, against Iowa State or the Cotton Bowl or, Bedlam or whoever, that could end up costing you a game or costing you a series if it's at the wrong time.
All right, I'm going to go stock up. Golly, I don't know which one to go with. But I'm going to go ahead and say Kennedy Brooks. I know Ramondre Stevenson had more yardage tonight, but it all came on that 75-yard drive. I thought Kennedy Brooks looked like the running back that we expect him to look tonight for the first time. He was vintage. I mean, I love watching him run. It's just like, it is what I used to call him, the natural. Didn't I tab him the natural?
You did? Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to see the natural tonight. I love it. I love getting to see him run the ball the way he runs it. And I would say stock down. It's kind of a cop-out, but I'm going to go tight end position. Overall, we're not seeing that much from Grant Calcaterra. A little bit, but we're seeing nothing from Lee Morris.
Nothing from Lee.
We're seeing more from Austin Stogner than we are those two. And that was really mop-up time again. I don't know, that it was like they harkened back to the opening.
Well, you remember Grant didn't have a good start to last season either. I'm not sure why.
Well, remember
why
he got hurt. I mean, that Texas game, he came down on the football.
Yeah, but that's the 6th game of the year. But,
yeah,
I mean, he was a slow starter. I'm not sure why that's not really gelling.
Jalen Hurts and UCLA already.
Bruins took it on the chin.
FS1.
San Diego State.
Boy, they're gonna sell that thing hard.
Did you see the overhead photo? I retweeted Arash Markazi's picture from
of the
afternoon.
stadium.
It was not pretty.
There's going to be more OU fans there next week.
There won't even be a lot of them, but there'll be enough.
And he replied, I think that was going to be the case anyways. But, after starting 0-2, those people are so done with Chip Kelly, I would imagine.
He doesn't endear himself to the fans.
Oh, you think he's going out and doing alumni events over the summer?
No.
Hell no.
He's that guy that gets fired just like Mike Leach because he doesn't kiss babies and
I definitely think
sign
that you're at the
autographs.
point that who's going to be the next head coach at UCLA? Maybe Graham Harrell?
Well, I'll say this.
Go across the town?
It's going to be hard to get someone of any repute because his recruiting has fallen off a cliff.
Remember we were talking about it on the unofficial 40 when they were
They had
120th
Well,
in the
remember,
recruiting rankings?
there was it was like 2019 or 2020, I can't remember, when it was like OU started out so hot.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even have a
one.
single commit.
Yeah.
And OU had like 18 or something like that at one point.
I just don't understand how you can be at a school like UCLA. I mean, kids want to go there.
He's kind of like reverse Antonio Brown, isn't he?
Who, Chip Kelly?
Yeah. Kind of
he's
does
a
whatever he
racist.
wants to do.
Didn't LaShawn McCoy say he's a racist when he was with the Eagles?
I don't remember. I don't know.
We'll find out on Saturday next week.
Basically, it was basically anyone that had anything to do with what's his name, the white receiver from Florida.
Oh, Riley Cooper.
Riley Cooper, yeah. I think that's where that stuff came from, to be honest.
It might have.
Okay, I think we have to also recognize Theo Weiss.
Yeah.
And Trajan Bridges just individually. And Austin Stogner.
They just, and it's very easy to say it because it was late in the fourth quarter. Again, I think that they were playing against a very tired defense, but those guys just move so much more quickly than everybody else out there. It's like they're not freshmen. It's like they have that. It's kind of what you talked about last week, Carey, just as far as that extra sense, that feel that they know where defenders are. They know where
Spidey
how
sense,
to, yeah, they know how to get their bodies angled and, just they basically know the game of football very well.
What was weird is I've thought all along that Theo Weiss is not like he's the smallest in terms of muscle mass of the three receivers.
Yes.
Yet he's the one that carried the
dragged
pile.
a half a team into the end zone with him. I mean, it was amazing. I didn't know he had that in him. And then, did you notice in the post game? I know you guys were probably over interviewing other people. Lincoln Riley actually said what we've said all along about Trajan Bridges is like he competes harder than any other player on the roster.
Trajan Bridges is, I think you can label him as a dog. We've seen very small sample size, but
I felt really bad when his first catch was for a yard tonight.
Yeah. Bridges is just one of those guys that like he probably would cut your throat out to win a football game or to grab a football from you.
Thought Theo's was for -3 yards.
Was it?
Because he's got 2 catches for 34 yards. He's got a 37-yard touchdown.
Yeah. It was then,
so
yeah.
It's not like they had glamorous first catches.
I was shocked twice tonight. I mean, Theo's was shocking, but Jaden Hazelwood's, first, what was that, 37-yard or whatever it ended up being? That was shocking too. I mean, just the explosion and the just the violence, that you see at you also wonder. Theo's not a big guy, but Jaden Hazelwood's he's a little bit bigger, but not that big to just be that violently explosive on a football field. You're just like, where's that coming from?
They're just really good football players. I don't think there's any other way to say it. I mean, it's kind of weird because I think that they're very. Would it be wrong to say that like they're not very similar to CD as far as the way he goes after the football? Does that make sense?
Other than just being kind of freakish in their own ways, like I was impressed by CD's punt returns tonight, probably as much as I was.
I thought that one was going to be taken back to the house. He was a shoelace away.
Although that's like Sterling always kind of had that. I always thought he kind of had that oh shit kind of thing in his brain. Like CD, he was running so fast through people tonight. I was like, kind of like that's not good for your future. Like if you're going to keep returning punts like that. Like he just devil may care. He just ran as fast as he could right into traffic.
I know it's been a kind of a topic on the board, but is everybody cool with that? With him returning punts?
If he does it well. But not if he keeps fielding it at the 5 and runs backward and loses 3 yards. I'm not okay with that.
I mean, what about if he gets hurt doing it? Mm-hmm. You're going to look back and say, well, why was he out there? Yeah. And they've made a history of their best guys
did it.
back
Jalen
there.
Saunders did it.
I know. Yeah.
You just want you.
It's better than kickoff. I mean, if it were kickoff, I'd have an issue.
I'm just trying to get Drake Stoops back there. I want him to return the punts.
That was cool when he lined up to receive that punt, and then he called a fair catch and tried to run it.
I think he was like doing this, like he was doing like an incomplete thing.
Yeah,
to like get away from it.
Uh-huh.
And I think he was going to try and fool him. I don't know.
They didn't let him. I'm glad. I mean, I thought they were going to throw a penalty, but they didn't throw a penalty.
You don't throw a penalty on Bob Stoops' son at Owen Field
when he's standing in the tunnel. And he's probably like, so you want to go? You want to rep my NFL league, my XFL?
Yeah, we'll give you $500 extra bucks.
Well, if that were true, there would have been about half the number of penalties that there were tonight, especially on the offensive line holding.
Sooners with 12. Ew, this is ugly.
Yeah, that was one of the first things Lincoln talked about when he came to the podium. He's like, I don't like the 12 penalties.
They got to clean that shit up. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. It didn't cost them tonight, obviously.
But they went from they degressed. That's the thing that I thought was most surprising. First game, we were all like, wow, the offensive line didn't look like shit like some of the others did. Now they kind of look like shit tonight. They kind of they went back to like week 0 Florida, Miami.
And we could say that with 733 yards of total offense.
I know. I said something to
and
Dylan.
like 580 at half or something crazy at halftime.
I said something to Dylan during it was right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Look up, and they have 683 yards of total offense. It's like, God, But then again, I mean, I guess that stuff's going to happen though when you're converting 3rd and 22s
and you have so many penalty yards, you got to get those yards back.
Yeah, and you have 2 holding penalties on the same drive, and you still convert for a touchdown. I mean, it was a little ridiculous. But, I mean, look, it shows you OU. It is, if I'm anybody else, if I'm a Texas fan, if I'm an Oklahoma State fan, and I'm watching that game night, which I wasn't because it was on pay-per-view, and my team was playing, I'm pretty pissed off when I look and see how much young talent Oklahoma has. Like, that's just not fair if you're another team.
It's funny, during the fourth quarter, all those freshmen are getting reps, and they're getting new guys in there that we really haven't seen, and they just all look different. And I don't think that's going to surprise anybody that is on the board or anything like that, because obviously, I mean, we're kind of a recruiting website, but
yeah.
Like Woody Washington looks different than anybody they have out there.
He looked crazy out there.
Bob and I were talking, like, I didn't ask Alex Rich. I need to ask him, like, what was the impetus, behind moving him to safety. And maybe, just because we haven't seen him, but, we saw him out there the first day of practice when they let us out there, and he's working with the corners. And we were like, man, that's the kind of guy they've been needing around here for a long. So I'm sure they saw him, and they're just like, look, we think he fits more as a safety. But I don't know. You see him at safety, and you're just like, boy, as short as they are at corner, loved it. And as good as Jaden Davis played tonight, you think he's about his equal. I mean, coming out of high school, they were similarly ranked guys.
I was pretty impressed by Jaden Davis.
Yeah.
You wonder how Trey Norwood affected the dominoes.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. That'd be the question. If Trey Norwood was still healthy, would Woody Washington be a corner for you? But then you see Robert Barnes come in the game, and you realize they need safeties.
I think he's kind of in the same boat with Mark Jackson, just as far as they've probably given him plenty of opportunities, and they just like other guys. And, I mean, that sucks for him, but
Justin Broyles did get thrown out there more tonight. I mean,
Sure.
he got
Yes,
more of an opportunity.
he
That's
did.
notable.
Isn't that kind of what everybody wanted, though, when you hire a new defense coordinator?
To try different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just keep throwing. I mean, Parnell Motley's probably the one guy that a lot of people were like, get him out of there, that they kept, and he's actually playing at a pretty high level. I mean, is there anybody else like that?
I mean, probably Kenneth Murray. Is Murray in that?
Well,
are we just talking about
He's
defensive
about
back?
Yeah, no, just at any position on offense, but defensively especially. But yeah, I mean, there was a time when everybody thought Deshaun White, if he was given the proper chance, would beat out Kenneth Murray. That was a widely tossed about theory.
Yeah.
Probably even.
I think I even agree
Spring.
with it.
As the spring, we were talking about that.
But, I mean, tonight wasn't his game. It just wasn't made for him tonight. UCLA's got a really good running back, even though they suck. He could have a big game next week.
And they only lose by 50.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying he'll look impressive while they're kicking their ass.
He looked good against them last year. Remember, he had that goose egg in the first game against the Bruins. He was sensational.
It's going to be interesting going out to UCLA because I've been out there several times. Even in 2005, it was a pretty decent crowd. I mean, it wasn't full. It's 100,000 people, but it was UCLA just beat the crap out of OU. It was a horrible game by them. That was when, I think I told you guys this before, it's the only time I ever remember Bob Stoops criticizing his offensive coordinator after a game. Because he came out of that game and he said, he basically said, we have to come up with a way to throw the football effectively. And it was just a mess. It was ugly. But what we're going to see this weekend, I don't think I'm prepared for it because I've been to Rose Bowls there. I've been to a home game that was pretty decently attended.
Not this one.
It's going to be a ghost. By the way, tonight going to the game, I don't know, Eddie, did you feel like, I mean, you're dragging a lot of equipment. I didn't feel like it was as nasty as it was last week.
Like weather-wise?
Yeah.
No,
The
not
humidity
at all.
wasn't
not at all.
there.
It was hot.
A little bit of a breeze.
I mean, it was very, very hot. Don't get me wrong, and especially during the afternoon period. But when the sun went down, it was kind of pleasant.
Yeah.
Last week was just a
Which
swamp.
I think
it was awful.
We probably all on the radio have scared people away because, and let's face it, we're all sick of the freaking heat. I don't want to beep anymore. We're sick of the heat. Like, people are sick of the heat. I understand why people didn't want to go sitting out. It just wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be tonight. It was almost pleasant.
I actually thought the crowd stayed longer. I think some of those
They
people
stayed longer,
wanted to see
but-
the young kids.
Yeah, but they also cleared out really fast at the end.
There you go.
Like, by the time I left, there were maybe 4 or 5 people tailgating or cleaning up their tailgates. But the cops were just like, okay, let's get out of
All
here.
right,
Yeah.
we're good. Didn't have to worry about the train.
No train crash
This
in the middle of
time.
Norman, thank God. That was terrible. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting going to UCLA just because it's a fun place to go. It's a great place. I mean, the setting there is fantastic. If you're on the fence, like, should I go? Just go.
I'm never going to tell you not to go to Los Angeles.
Go to the Rose Bowl. It is fantastic. Even if it's half empty, it's one of the great cathedrals of college football. It's amazing. Now, it's not going to compare to the college football playoff when we saw OU and Georgia play. That pageantry will not be there, but it's cool. It's a cool place to watch a football game.
I just can't believe that UCLA is so bad. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised, right? Like, there's no reason to be surprised.
Who did Chris Wilson's kid end up with?
Cardinals, right?
It is the Cardinals, isn't it?
He was the last pick of the draft,
Yeah,
right?
like that might be the last good player they had on their team. I mean, like I said, their running back's really good, but their quarterback is terrible. I mean, like, he makes terrible decisions.
And they lost Jalen Phillips to the portal, Miami, after he retired, quote unquote.
And remember all that speed they had even on defense when they came here last year? I mean, you're right. How are they so bad? It makes you think that Chip Kelly's probably lost that team.
2 weeks into the season, God,
It's Chip Kelly. I think it's possible.
Well, I mean, do you remember what's that Twitter handle that says they post anonymous inside info from locker rooms?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
It was one of those. Well, everybody hates him. Everybody absolutely hates Chip Kelly.
Yeah, that's right.
I think I kind of remember that. So anyway, Texas did lose to LSU.
In terms of recruiting, the way Texas losing, the Aggies getting pounded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you dodged the bullet, but that's probably best case scenario in terms of those teams riding a wave of momentum with good performances. Because Texas didn't want a moral victory. That was not what tonight was about.
Yeah.
They wanted to win.
Because they're back.
And the Aggies didn't play up to a moral victory status. They had the touchdown last 5 seconds to make it by 2 scores.
I would say this: Texas, they're still squarely in the national, playoff hunt.
Yes.
I don't think A&M is. I mean,
No, their schedule won't even allow them to.
yeah, and that's really all Clemson had to do.
I know their big game is supposed to get Syracuse next week, and Maryland put up 63?
Yeah.
On Syracuse.
Do they play North Carolina, Clemson? I guess they would in the championship, or are they in the same division? Mac is 2-0.
I think they played Carolina in the championship before, so they're not in the same division.
Texas. I'm not looking to score, but Texas Tech won easily today against UTEP, right? Like 38-0 or something.
Yeah, something like that. What was the final score of Oklahoma State's game?
Don't know.
A lot to a little, I'm
it
sure.
was bad.
Kansas State beat the shit out of
Kansas State Bowling Green. Kansas State looked really good
Coastal
today.
Carolina beat Kansas.
That's just embarrassing. I mean,
I really want to see. I probably leave the pod and go watch Les Miles' post-game press conference.
I mean, that's just, there's nothing else you can say. That's just embarrassing.
Scored 7 points against Coastal
But it's
Carolina.
still Kansas. I mean, did we really expect that Les Miles was going to work miracles this year?
You can't lose to Coastal Carolina unless, I mean, there's no excuse.
7 points.
It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to even be associated with that school.
As a fringe member of the Big 12 who works for a website that covers a school in the Big 12,
Yeah, I'm embarrassed that they're a part of this.
Maybe you should maybe you should fire off some late night tweets to Bob Bowlesby.
If they didn't kick Baylor out for systematic rape culture, they're not kicking Kansas out for a bad football team.
I don't know. You and I have to be careful because Jeff Capel has blocked us and we don't know why.
What the hell, Coach? I was one of your prominent supporters, even through the Tommy Mason Griffin and Tiny Gallon days. The hell?
You were a student. Were you a student the entire time he was coaching here? Okay.
Yes.
Did some of his games on ESPN, right?
Yes. What a son of a bitch.
I wonder if you're blocked just because you work for me.
I don't know. You're thinking like maybe you did something and we just got a company-wide
guilt by association.
Like a Sooner Scoop, but you're not blocked, Bob. I'm pointing to you.
He's been out of he's probably been gone, so he doesn't know.
Exactly. He didn't know I was with Scoop now.
So you're blocked.
I'm gonna start tagging you in everything that we do, or tagging you and Capel.
But he's blocked you. He will never see that.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, no.
You need to get him to tag you and Jeff Capel. I'm pointing to Bob again.
Yep.
We could probably do that.
Although I guess he would see that then.
I really thought we'd have a candle in here that we could light for catch tonight.
What did, was he very, vocal that Texas would win?
I mean, what do you expect? I would imagine so.
I don't know, to be honest with you.
The only thing I saw from that game was the Texas little boy meme that ran crazy.
Like the peeing Calvin and Hobbes or something?
No, there was a kid in the stands. It's like
the one that said F, so many times.
Swearing and crying.
Like right next to his parents and everything.
Those are the exact kind of kids that I talk shit to from 2005 to 2010 at the Cotton Bowl. Like, go seek those kids out. Try and sell them Holiday Bowl information.
And then offer him a wrestling match.
Yeah, basically. I do think it's a little funny that Texas got beat.
And Josh defended his right to make fun of that kid because he has kids.
Oh, that's what you have to have kids to be able to. That's interesting.
Well, if you have put in a lot of work to raise kids and that's how they act, I think you should be able to comment at least.
No, yeah. Sure.
That means Eddie and I really can't, but we'll leave it up to you bastards with children. All right. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. Unless you guys have any final words you want to impart onto the fine listeners.
I said that I wanted to bring something up, and now I can't remember what it was.
It's a good thing you have a radio show on Monday morning. You can do it then.
I'm just glad that I'll be there because I was about to jump off the top of the press box tonight when I couldn't find the SD card for the
Yeah, Eddie had a rough night tonight. It was so bad, and the information that was coming out was so bad, it literally I almost had to say, I'm done with my post-game show and start figuring out what to do.
That's the closest, A, I've come to almost crying in the press box, and B, just it blew my mind that I couldn't find the card.
Because you thought you lost all your game film.
The entire game.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it now, and it's so beautiful. It'll all be up in the morning on Soonerscoop.com.
And also, Josh was in Atlanta seeing Brock Vandegrift.
He was a curse.
He was the last person that will ever see Brock Vandegrift this season.
Just this season.
Yeah.
Actually, or do we know for a fact, is that a 6 week, a full season?
What was it? A broken
tibula or fibula?
That's why I couldn't remember.
I can't believe he played on it.
Yeah, then he played 3
We'll have all those highlights up tomorrow too on Sooner Scoop.
If Eddie survives.
No, I'm going to survive now.
Okay.
Now that I got everything.
So, yeah, keep checking out the website. We got more stuff coming next week. I'm just trying to think of anything outstanding. And obviously, heading out to UCLA and we'll have the podcast just like always. Our first podcast from the road coming up next week, thanks to Eskridge Lexus. So, thanks to Bob, thanks to Eddie, thanks to everybody out there for listening. Sooners win at 70-14, and they now move on to UCLA. They're 2-0, trying to move on to 3-0 next week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time right back here on the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast from Soonerscoop.com.